guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. Okay, so we have now another Falcon 9 launch happening on the same day. I mean, we just saw the Long March 2F launch of the Chinese mainland, from the Chinese mainland, and that was a successful one because yeah, the docking, the launch was successful, and then finally they docked to their newly developed space station, and now they have opened the hatch and the astronauts are resting on the station. So after that, we are here for the GPS 3 mission by the Falcon 9 vehicle from SpaceX. So before we get into this launch, how are you all? Hi Patel, hi Preeti, hi Vikri, hi Shashank Desai, how are you? Hi Iron Clue Gaming. Okay. uh, we don't have much to talk about for this mission because this is a very generic mission, not too much in the public, but still we will see what is the rocket and everything. So Falcon 9, everyone knows, right? Falcon 9 is a reusable rocket. Obviously SpaceX makes rockets which are very out of this world, you can say, at that point of time, because any new rocket which is being developed right now just dies to shame when it meets the Falcon 9 or the Starship. Ariane 6 not even developed yet, but it is still considered like back in the time. So that is a thing which SpaceX has done. The Falcon 9, it is a two-stage rocket. The payload to low Earth is 22.8 tons. The first stage is powered by 9 Merlin D1D engines that we all know. Configured in the Octaweb configuration, the landing legs and the grid fins. So, and the second stage is the Merlin engines only, but the vacuum optimized, the interstage with the grid fins and the payload. We'll talk about the payload, but yeah, that's what we have for the vehicle. Now, let's have a look at the payload itself. So this is the payload, the GPS 3 satellite. We already, are familiar with the GPS word, right? We all know we have been using GPS in our everyday lives for daily commute and whatnot, right? And that this is the satellite which actually enables us to do that. So this satellite is a very important one. First of all, obviously the satellite is an important customer. The second milestone which the SpaceX will be attaining after this mission will be very important, because SpaceX will be using the reused booster for the first time for a national defense launch. I mean, this is the US Space Force launch. The GPS 3 comes in that. So you can previously the US Space Force had this criteria of using Falcon 9 only if they had new booster in place, right? But right now, a few months back only, they assigned this criteria or the contract and allowed them to use the reused booster as well. So this is another milestone, an important milestone, I must say, for SpaceX, which they will be attaining today. So that is a good thing to see, right? Okay, so yeah, I was talking about this GPS 3 satellite. So this GPS, the global positioning system, we all know, there are currently 31 satellites in orbit, in medium Earth orbit, I must say that, which provides navigation system to America as well as to the whole world. Russia has its own navigation system, which is known as GLONASS and GNNS, and the European uses the Galileo, as well as right now India also has launched its GPS satellites known as the Navik satellite. So they will be using that too in coming days. So active GPS satellites are 31. This is a block 3 version. This is what it looks like in close, and you can see how the humans are in scale here. It's a pretty big satellite. The solar panels, you can see there, this solar panels, actually there are 3 solar panels if I'm not wrong, or 2, maybe 2 only. And these solar panels are rotatable, which means they are not very static. And they have the sun sensor installed on the satellite, in which they sense from where the sun is, basically where the sun is, and where it should align the solar panels, so such that it can get the most amount of sunlight, and hence increasing the efficiency. See, the problem with the solar panels are that they are very, very, very less efficient. I mean, the most efficient solar panels are being used obviously on ISS, and they only have this 25% of efficiency. So the solar panels are very, very less efficient. They do a great work for, you know, the space missions, which does not require a huge amount of electricity to work. And if you want to have a huge amount of electricity in a short period of time, then you need to go with RTGs, or because the solar panels can't do that. They add a huge amount of weight, as well as have a particular lifespan also. So that is the case. Yeah, this is the GPS-3 satellite. One more important criteria, you know, not the criteria, I must say, the thing with GPS satellites is that it provides an impressive 30 centimeter to 500 centimeter of accuracy for the United States, as well as civilian purposes, as well as the more accurate version for the United States Department of Defense. And the greatest part is that it has this impressive, you know, 30 centimeter of accuracy from an orbital height of 20,000 kilometers. Wow. Yes, this satellite will be going at an orbit of 20,000 kilometers around or so, and it will be a circular orbit. Okay, so the GPS-3 satellite is, however, designed for 15 years, but we have seen that these satellites last for twice as long. Designed for 15 years, but can last for 30 years. This is the third version, which is the newest version which they have. The goal of GPS-3 is to provide enhanced signal reliability, accuracy, and integrity with the, you know, those anti-jamming protocols placed on this satellite. So this is a pretty good satellite, and I would like you to see how does this look like when it is deployed in space. See this video here. Here you can actually see how does it look like. So this actually has one extended boom on its one of its end. I suspect that is the antenna, but not sure. But yeah, this is how it looks like. This is how the GPS-3 looks like once it is deployed in the orbit. This extended boom obviously is in retracted position during the launch, because that is spacecraft packaging 101, which means you don't want to have a large extended booms when you are launching a satellite, no matter whether it is can fit in a fairing or not. We always try to pack our satellite very close to the center of mass. So that's how things work. And yeah, that's why it is in retractable position, and once in orbit it will open up. Cool. Now this is the thing. Oh, just a sec. Okay. I think there is, I know what is happening. Whoa. Okay, so this is how it looks like in sorry for that, this is how it looks like in payload fairing. And talking about the mission profile, we'll just have a look at it quickly. This is how the mission profile looks like. A typical mission profile. They will be landing on the drone ship, and regarding the mission timeline, it is a long mission. It will commence at 1T plus 1 hour and 30 minutes. So yeah, they will be doing 2 burns for the second stage, one to get into a parking orbit and then one to raise the apoapse. That will be interesting to watch. Okay, cool. Now let's just move on to their live stream. Just a sec. And okay, so guys, hi, I am Rove Gaming. I am good. How are you? US Space Force. What is this? Yes, BTK Kim. BTK Kim. This is a US Space Force satellite, a GPS satellite, a global positioning system satellite. We all know, we have been using that. So, yep, that is the thing. If you have any other questions, you can ask me right now. But this mission is basically very important for SpaceX, because they will be entering into a new dimension with the reused booster, because they will be using reused booster for the first time for a US Space Force mission. Earlier they were not allowed to use that. A few months back only, US Space Force signed this contract allowing SpaceX to launch their satellites on a reused booster. So this is a flight proven booster, and previously it supported the GPS III SV04. Now it is being launched for GPS III SV05. So that is the thing. Can I see it from Pennsylvania? Nope. Actually the missions from Florida are very less visible. I mean, if you live nearby Florida only, then only you'll be able to see. So yeah. Camera is there in a satellite or only for the position? I don't know about that. But don't think so. There is one camera for the GPS III. Maybe monitoring camera could be there, but the actual camera which can work as a reconnaissance, I don't think so. But again, this is a US Space Force satellite manufactured by Lockheed Martin, so we never know. Maybe they are having a reconnaissance capabilities on this also. Okay, T-minus 14 minutes until the launch. Right now the weather looks 70% go and only 30% violations for the weather criteria. They are just monitoring the upper level winds, and yeah. And the fairing for this mission is totally new. So yep, that is the thing here. Okay, finally.
Liftoff conditions looking pretty good.
ESPS is ready for launch.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
Yes, Preeti.
Ten, 9, 8,
Side booster ignition.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. It's Thursday, June 17th, and on your screen is a live view of Falcon 9 as it awaits its 12:09 p.m. Eastern Time launch from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. My name is Yomezo, and I'm a propulsion engineer here at SpaceX. Welcome to our webcast coverage for GPS III Space Vehicle 5 for the Space Force, SpaceX's 19th launch this year. GPS, originally developed by the U.S. Air Force and formerly known as the Global Positioning System, is a constellation of orbiting satellites that provide precise position, navigation, and timing data to military and civilian users globally. the U.S. Space Force continues to provide this free service to more than 4 billion users worldwide. For many of today's viewers, GPS services aren't new. If you're like me and have ever used your phone's mapping service or retrieved coordinates for a location via a pin drop, then you've received information from a satellite within this system. Collectively, with the system's already operational satellites, the payload today will further the U.S. Space Force's ability to provide mission-critical global access, persistence, and awareness for our national security. Before we dive deeper into learning more about the GPS satellite and its capabilities, let's take a closer look at the vehicle on your screen. Falcon 9, our two-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle, is in position at Space Launch Complex 40. Now, while the booster supporting today's mission is flying for the second time, today marks the first time that SpaceX is supporting a U.S. Space Force mission with a reused booster. And to top it off, this particular booster debuted right here on Slick 40 for last year's GPS III Space Vehicle 4 mission. Now, if you're new to our webcast or are unfamiliar with the Falcon 9, what you see at the bottom two-thirds of the vehicle are soot markings from its previous flight.
Yes.
These markings are located on what we call the first stage. The first stage's primary role, with the help of its 9 Merlin engines, is to accelerate the vehicle all the way to the edge of space, where it will then drop off the second stage carrying the payload. Following its drop-off of the second stage, the first stage will make its way back to Earth, where we'll attempt to recover it on our autonomous drone ship. Just read the instructions, as you can see there. Now, if you turn your attention to the section above the first stage and the black carbon fiber inner stage, you'll see the Falcon 9's second stage. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the first and second stage will separate, and the second stage will ignite its single MVAC engine to carry the GPS satellite to a highly elliptical orbit. Separation from second stage will then occur, and then the satellite will perform burns. Finally, above this stage, placed at the very top of the vehicle, you'll see this nose cone structure called a fairing. Inside that structure is where the GPS III satellite is currently sitting. The two fairing halves are safely encapsulating the satellite to protect it from aerodynamic heating, loads, and contamination during ascent. The fairing halves we are using today are new, and we'll recover them using our chartered recovery ship, HOS Briarwood. Once the fairing reaches the vacuum of space, we will jettison the fairing halves as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit.
Good morning from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. I'm John Innsbrucker, Falcon Principal Integration Engineer. The launch vehicle and satellite vehicle teams are ready for launch as we approach T-minus 10 minutes, 45 seconds to liftoff. This is our 4th GPS launch, and all 4 have been from Space Launch Complex 40. Now, earlier today, the satellite team performed functional checkouts of the GPS satellite, and the satellite went on internal battery power at T-minus 15 minutes. The Falcon 9 team began their final checks at T-minus 2 hours, and most recently, we completed the pull to proceed with propellant load and launch. This was at T-minus 38 minutes, and all parties were go. Now, the team at Cape Canaveral began loading propellant on time at T-minus 35 minutes. Falcon 9 is a bipropellant vehicle. That means it uses 2 propellants, a fuel and an oxidizer. For Falcon 9, our fuel is a refined form of kerosene known as RP1. Now, to burn the fuel, we need an oxidizer. Now, most burning on Earth uses oxygen, which makes up about 21% of the air you breathe. However, in space, there's no atmosphere to provide oxygen or other oxygen-bearing molecules, so the rocket needs to carry its own oxidizer to space. And in our case, our oxidizer is super chill liquid oxygen, referred to as densified LOX. The liquid oxygen is chilled well below its boiling point, and that increases its density, which allows us to load more into the first and second stage LOX tanks. Now, currently, fuel loading is complete on the second stage. Fuel loading is continuing on the first stage for another few minutes and will wrap up at T-minus 6 minutes. The liquid oxygen loading is continuing on both the first and second stages, and you can see the gaseous vapor coming off of both tanks as that ultra-cold liquid oxygen contacts the skin of the vehicles and the floor to air. Now, in addition to its propellants, Falcon 9 also needs an ignition source to start burning the fuel and oxidizer. And for that, we use the chemical T-tub that stands for triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane. Now, when it's fully fueled, Falcon 9 first and second stages combine to carry over 1.1 million pounds of propellant. And we're going to burn through most of that over the 8.5 minutes it takes to land the first stage and get the second stage into its initial orbit.
Yeah.
Now, once our Merlin
Rockets
engines
are
begin
powerful.
to burn RP1 kerosene and the liquid oxygen, you're going to see the rocket throwing that combustion exhaust out of the engine nozzles in one direction, and that results in a push on the rocket in the opposite direction. And this is a great example of Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. On the weather front, at T-minus 1 hour, we were down to just 10% probability of violating launch weather requirements. The only thing we've been looking at is upper altitude wind shear. That looks good right now, so we expect we're going to be good for the last 7.5 minutes of the countdown. Weather conditions are also looking good for the booster landing on our drone ship and for the fairing recovery. So with that, the launch vehicle, satellite, the weather, the range are all good to go for a 12:09 p.m. Eastern liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40.
As we mentioned earlier, today's GPS III Space Vehicle 5 mission is for the U.S. Space Force. This mission will be SpaceX's fourth overall GPS III mission. 2 missions were successfully launched in 2020 and 1 in 2018. And following today's launch, we are planning our 5th mission for sometime next year. To date, these next-generation satellites provide increased signal accuracy and reliability to operate even if confronted by cyber adversaries.
Yeah,
Not only does
anti-jamming
GPS III
capabilities.
help with national security, it also enables all facets of our daily lives. To learn more about the constellation, take a look at this video by the Space and Missile Systems Center, which provides critical national security space capabilities to the U.S. Space Force.
I don't think so I can have the music being played here, but you can obviously see it. So GPS 3, we all know, I mean GPS, we all know, we have been using it, right? So that is the thing here. So talking about this mission, if you have anything to ask for, you can surely ask me without any hesitation, and I'll try to help you out with the intended details. Right now the Falcon 9 vehicle is up on the pad. The vehicle is looking healthy, and the RP1 lock says as he said, right now has been completed, and we are heading for a launch. So these GPS satellites is the third iteration in their GPS constellation, the third version, as you can say, a more accurate, more precise one, and they provide not only the location services to the American people, but also to all over the world, and obviously it is used in the those defense purposes also. For civilian usage, the accuracy ranges from 30 to 500 centimeters, but for defense purposes it is more precise, and we don't know actually the actual precision for that, but yeah.
It is T-minus 4 minutes 35 seconds. Everything continues to be go for launch. We've had a quiet countdown throughout the morning. Now on your screen, you see the large structure next to Falcon 9. That's the strongback. At any moment, the strongback will begin opening the 2 clamps around the second stage. You can kind of see them obscured a little bit with the LOX vapor. The strongback retract sequence has begun. Now, once the clamp arms are open, the strongback will retract away from the rocket slightly, just under 2 degrees. And then as the Falcon 9 lifts off, the hydraulic arms will pull the strongback farther away.
Man, we are
Get a little bit of a view as the arms come open.
52 seconds
Next
until
up now
this
is the
launch.
strongback will begin to recline away from the Falcon 9. There's not much motion, but you can see we're getting a little bit of gap opened up between the Strongback and the Falcon 9. Now, the Strongback is part of the transporter erector. That's called the TE. The transporter erector is used to roll out Falcon 9 to the launch pad, raises it to the vertical launch position, also routes power, fluids, and communication to both the rocket and the satellite. The TE includes both the launch mount that the first stage is clamped to right now and the Strongback, which is hinged to the launch mount. Next major event coming up with T-minus 3 minutes is closeout of liquid oxygen loading on the first stage.
Stage one, Pogo, please.
One hell of a beast in its own region. I mean, 22 tons in its expendable configuration to low Earth orbit. Wow, comparable to Long March 5, 25 tons.
We're closing
capacity.
out liquid oxygen loading on the first stage. Falcon 9 and GPS teams are continuing to track no issues for launch. The weather continues to look good. The range is ready to support. Now, the SpaceX team is monitoring completion of LOX loading on stage 2. That's due to finish up at about T-minus 2 minutes. And as a reminder, if we have to call a hold on today's launch, we have a backup opportunity tomorrow with a liftoff time of 12:05 p.m. Eastern.
Cool. We are T-minus 2 minutes and 10 seconds until liftoff. Weather is looking superb right now. And Wildflower, if you are not getting the notification, considering hitting that bell icon, just beside the subscribe button and switching on the notification of the YouTube app. Maybe that's the case.
Closed out.
And we've got confirmation. Stage 2 LOX loading is complete. And that completes loading of the over 1.1 million pounds of propellants on the Falcon 9. All systems remain go for launch.
Okay.
Right now, we are beginning to drain the propellant out of the lines that go up the Strongback to the second stage. And that's creating the large white cloud you see around the Strongback. Pressure from that ultra-cold LOX line is vented overboard, and it meets up with the warm, moist Florida air. Now, our next event will be startup called out at T-minus 1 minute. At that point, the first and second stage computers on Falcon 9 are executing stored programs to prepare the rocket for flight, leading to ignition of the Merlin engines at T-minus 2 seconds and liftoff at T0.
Man, T-minus 1 minute, only 60 seconds left now. The vehicle is in startup.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
It's ready
Falcon
to go.
computers are running the final sequence for launch. We're also pressurizing first and second stage tanks for liftoff pressure.
Looking very, very good here.
CMD is go for launch.
And we have a
Heard the
indication
call
of
out.
the
The Space
launch.
Force mission director is go for launch. T-minus 33 seconds and counting. All systems go for launch.
30 seconds.
Let's listen into terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 transports the U.S. Space Force's GPS III Space Vehicle number 5 satellite into orbit.
T-minus 20 seconds. T-minus 19, 18, 17, 16,
T-minus 15
15,
seconds.
14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
Oh.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Ignition.
0. Ignition. And liftoff. Go
And
Falcon,
liftoff.
go GPS.
This never gets old.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Wow.
Stage 1 chamber pressures are nominal.
And there you go, the vehicle is in flight. Man. The pitch over maneuver, the roll maneuver, everything is going on as per the
T
plan.
plus 36 seconds. SpaceX launch engineers report nominal conditions on Falcon 9. We begin the trip to space carrying the GPS III satellite. Merlin engines about to throttle down. We're in the throttle bucket.
Telemetry.
Decreasing acceleration of preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. Great views looking aft towards Cape Canaveral.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We're throttled back up to full power.
Whoa. See those
We're out of
mark
the throttle
effects.
bucket and we're supersonic.
Wow. The contrails, it's completely nominal.
Now,
That
from here on,
happens.
even though velocity is rapidly increasing, the atmospheric density is decreasing.
Decreasing.
That's resulting
Max
on less
Q.
loads on the Falcon 9. You've heard the call out. We're through max Q, so the loads are now decreasing on the launch vehicle.
MVAC engine chill has started.
That call out says the bleed valve on second stage engine is open, and that's beginning a final chill of the MVAC engine prior to second stage ignition. All's looking good with the stage 1 trajectory. And we've got 3 events coming up in quick succession. We're going to have main engine cutoff, MECO as we call it. The first and second stages will then separate. And then we will have ignition of the second stage engine to propel Falcon 9 into the first parking orbit.
That would be a thing to watch. Now the MECO is coming up shortly. We can see the vehicle zoom passing the
Beginning to
sky
throttle
here.
down the first stage engines to hold 4G constant acceleration. Coming up on main engine cutoff.
MECO.
MECO stage
separation
set. See, this is the enthusiasm. And ignition.
And we've got, as you can hear the cheering in the background, successful stage separation. Second stage is now under power of the single Merlin vacuum engine. You may have noticed some curved pieces of metal come off the end of the nozzle right after ignition. That's normal. These are ground
Both
handling
vehicles are
tubes.
following nominal trajectories.
They're not needed in flight. We hear the call out. We're following nominal trajectory. With the left side of your screen, you can see the first stage grid fins. The titanium grid fins have deployed. Coming up next, fairing separation.
Acquisition of signal, PoMonkey.
Bearing separation confirmed.
And we have the fairing separation.
A nice view from the second stage camera showing successful fairing deploy.
Whoa,
This
you can
Falcon 9
see
is
those,
passing through 110 kilometers altitude.
You can
Now
see
we
those
will be
halves too.
attempting to retrieve these new fairing halves with the help of our contracted recovery vessel, HOS Briarwood.
Right now the Falcon 9 first stage is coasting towards the apoapse. Right now it is coasting towards the apoapse and turning itself into a retrograde
Now currently
position,
Falcon 9
facing
second stage heading northeast.
engines first.
We are sending telemetry down through the SpaceX Bermuda ground
Both
station.
vehicles continue to follow nominal
Now, as we
trajectories.
pass 4 minutes and 20 seconds into flight, all systems are go
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
as Falcon 9 carries GPS into space.
The views are
It's
always
T
and
plus
always
4 minutes and 45
mesmerizing.
seconds here into today's mission, and we're currently in the first of 2 planned MVAC burns for satellite deployment. You can see from the live views on your right, the second stage MVAC engine is burning, and there on your left is a live view of the Falcon 9 first stage as it's preparing to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere.
Right now the speed
At
is
T plus
increasing.
6 minutes and 18 seconds, you
For
should
the
see on your
first,
screen the
stage.
first stage's entry burn. This is in just about a minute. This burn will last about 30 seconds.
Acquisition of signal, New Hampshire.
And for the entry burn, we relight the center E9 engine on the first stage, and then partway through, we relight the
Both vehicles
E1
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
and E5 engines. So we will have a total of 3 M1D engines helping to slow the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere.
Those are just the
You can see
serial
a
numbers
great
of the
live
engine.
look at that Falcon 9 first stage there as it's coasting back down. Now, the Falcon 9 supporting today's mission will perform this entry burn for the second time, and both fairing halves will re-enter for the first time. This booster previously supported the November 2020 GPS III mission, and we're pretty excited to watch today's landing because it marks the first mission we're supporting for the U.S. Space Force with a flight-proven booster.
Exactly. This will be a great
Now,
milestone for
entry
them.
burn will start in just a few seconds here. Listen for the call out.
Stage 1 flight termination system is safe.
Stage 1 entry burn has started.
You heard the call out, and you can see on your screen, stage 1 entry burn has started. This burn lasts about 30 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
Let's hope we don't
We
lose
did
the
have
signal,
a
please.
successful stage 1 entry burn there. And now while Falcon 9
Both
makes
vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
While Falcon 9 makes its way back to Earth, you may notice that there are different soot markings on the outer covering of the rocket. You can maybe just see them on your screen on the left there.
It is
Now, if
not
you've ever
losing
wondered
the
how these
feed.
markings are formed, the soot is generated when the carbon-based rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, burns. And since our reentry occurs engines first, the booster flies through its own plume, which deposits the soot on the rocket there.
We can feel it now.
Now, coming up next will be our landing
This is looking
burn,
so
which
good.
will be at T plus 8 minutes and 7 seconds. This will also last about 30 seconds, and it will hopefully land our first stage on our drone ship. Just read the instructions.
Stage 1 is transonic.
Off the
Just
Atlantic
passing
coast.
the
You heard the call out
sound
that
barrier.
Stage 1 is now transonic.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
Man, we
Now,
have
just
the
1 second
footage.
after the
Wow.
start of the landing burn, we will actually have second engine cutoff on
Stage 2 flight termination system is safe.
the second stage on the right. So both coming up in just a few seconds here.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
And it is happening. Drone ship is a
That
bit
stage 1 entry burn,
off, but
landing burn.
it will
And
make
Seco 1,
itself.
there's the first stage coming in.
Landing legs are deployed.
There you go. This is all. This always is such a good sight here.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
What a beautiful, what a beautiful view of that first stage landing. And we did get a confirmation from our second stage of a nominal orbit. You can hear the cheering in the background. Everyone's really excited. We did, again, have a confirmation of a nominal orbital insertion. And of course, we saw that beautiful landing of our Falcon 9 first stage on our drone ship, just to read the instructions. And there you have it. You've just witnessed Falcon 9's 19th landing for this year and SpaceX's 88th overall successful recovery of a first stage. And now at this time, our mission isn't over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its first coast phase. Coasting in this orbit will last about 53 minutes, and then we'll relight that MVAC engine for a second time shortly after at T plus 1 hour and 2 minutes. We'll see you back here
Acquisition
at
signal, Newfoundland.
1 hour and 3 minutes.
Man, see how beautiful the earth looks like from there. Wow. And that was such a good landing out there. I mean, we didn't lose the feed. The Falcon 9 just coasted down to the drone ship with utmost pinpoint accuracy. Whatever fine-tuning adjustment was needed, it did at the last time when the atmosphere is thick and the engines are on. So man, this was so cool. Now they have accomplished one more capability in their resume, the SpaceX resume, right? To launch these US Space Force payloads on a flight-proven booster. That is so cool. Well, roll back to the landing burn. You can see that booster was hovering for a bit. Nishant Kumar, yes, there was some, little bit of gimbal. It was, I won't say a hover, but there was a little bit of slight gimbal at the very last moment before landing, but it's okay. It was just fine tuning the landing location and so that it does not, fall off the drone ship. I think it's okay. So when will Shenzhou 12 astronauts will come back? Ask the Clash Royale. So the Shenzhou 12 astronauts are right now destined to stay in space for around 3 months. In the 3 month stay, they will do a lot of activities, EVA activities. They will basically test every system which will enable a 6 month stay on the station. Right now they will set a record of staying 3 months into the space by China. That will be one of a record, but again they will be increasing for long-term stays, obviously, because it's a space station now. And right now they will be staying for 3 months, testing everything, and the positioning the camera outside, the monitoring camera outside the TNA core module, checking the robotic arm. There are certain EV activities also planned. They will be first of all flipping the switches, turning on the station, and validating whether everything is working fine or not. And then everything, when they have validated every other technology, not just for the station but for the ecosystem also, the life support system, then they will come back, and hopefully at that time they will actually vacate the station before the actual other astronauts can come and dock to it. So the station will be vacated for a while, but then again the Tianzhou 3 mission will come and Shenzhou 13 will follow, which will actually what do you say, fill the station with 3 astronauts. Right now the CSS, the Chinese space station, has the maximum capability of handling 3 astronauts for a long-term stay, but it can also handle 6 for a short term too. So yeah, that is the thing. I was gone. What happened? My sister took the remote, says Aiden. The whatever happened happened for the good, and you know how SpaceX launches looks like. So there you go, a small ice break from that RCS thrusters. It was certainly a good landing on the drone ship. Yeah. See, right now the vehicle, it is 27,000 kilometers an hour, more like 17,500 miles an hour, which means that it is 10 times faster than a bullet. Wow. A thing which is going 10 times faster than a bullet, it can almost go round trip on the earth and can complete one round circle of the earth in just 90 minutes. That is so fast. Space Junk Refuse Company. What is this now? Space Junk, the garbage company. They see the garbage is a big problem out there on orbit. There are around 100,000 small pieces going around in the low Earth orbit, and we just have the technology right now to track them. We don't have as such technology, the proven technology to handle them, to make to go basically to either accelerate them to graveyard orbits, or either deorbit them and burn them into the atmosphere. So yes, space junk is a very big threat right now emerging, with all the satellites being launched, but right now there are no concrete management of all the debris and every space objects. Basically that is creating a problem, but I won't say that companies and organizations are not working on it. Specifically, I would like to mention ESA. ESA is very much concerned about this debris thing, and they always prefer and always make satellites and everything which actually burns up in the atmosphere. And ESA is the organization which is actually a national organization, I must say, which is heading right now the debris management program in the Earth environment, the Earth orbit environment. So they will be testing, I think in this year or next, they will be launching one prototype also to look into this debris removal thing, the satellite which they have manufactured. So we will have to wait and see.
Lost the signal, Newfoundland.
Model stand with SN15, I suppose, yes, Rihan.
Acquisition of signal, Goonhilly.
So debris management is a thing which see, right now there is no company, okay, right now there is no as such proper company which has proven its technology in space for the debris management. So if any other company emerges, that will straight away be a $1 billion industry, because garbage on space will be a thing which will remain every time, and that is not going anywhere right now. So yeah, any company who does some research and actually helps in the debris removal will be billionaire. So yes, you can invest on that. So we do have a long coast period here. The the second engine start will be happening at around T plus 1 hour and 20 minutes or so. So yep, there are we do have a great amount of time left right now.
Signal, Oakhanger.
So I think we can just leave right here, or if you want me to talk about something, you can ask me. I can't join your Discord. The Nishant says the link is there on the chat itself. Maybe you can let me just check. Is it valid? Right? Yeah, it's valid. You have to download the Discord app maybe, and then try. It will work. Hopefully work. Yeah. Definitely Elon will come with an idea of space junk prevention. I don't think so. Elon is not much into those management kind of a thing. He is into creation and making humans multiplanetary. He's more into that. He's not into management of things. So I don't think so debris management will come out of SpaceX. See, it's not that easy, Wildflower. Actually, there are so many small pieces going around in the space right now. Just just a pen size or even a small rock size debris, and that is very, very, very harmful when it goes around in the orbit at around 10 times the speed of an average bullet. So it is very harmful. That small piece is actually very harmful. We can't even track it properly, and it can severely damage the spacecraft. So problem is, deorbiting these small fragments will require enormous amount of delta V. First you have to deorbit it, and then you have to again attain an orbit, then you have to again go to another rendezvous with another debris, again deorbit, then again attain an orbit. It's a very, very difficult task and very fuel consuming also. So people are looking forward to it. They are looking, throwing a enormous big net in a concentrated region of debris, collecting all of them and then deorbiting. This kind of things are going on, but we'll have to see.
Safety already left. They already told me they have no reportable items as well. Seemed like it was a relatively clean count. Though we had the Doppler wind issue. I overheard some chatter on the bids, but it sounded like that came back up as well. I don't have any items to pass along on the bottom line. but great communications. LDA. Okay, how about now? Rock, this is LDA. Can you hear me?
I think there is something going on here. Don't know for sure what are they discussing. Can't hear them properly, but I think mission director or a launch director does not seem to be very much impressed. So because of something I didn't hear properly. If you were able to hear what they were saying, please write down in the chat. I didn't hear them properly. So yes, that was a bit weird actually. This hasn't happened yet in my streaming history, that mission control has such a long word with the people, the officials there. I don't know what they were telling about, but okay, maybe just normal configuration. The spin looks unusual. Okay, they said the spin looks unusual. Well, did they say spin looks unusual? I didn't hear them properly. Let's just hear them once again now, what they were saying actually.
It was a relatively clean count. Though we had the Doppler wind issue. I overheard some chatter on the bids, but it sounds like that came back up as well. I don't have any items to pass along on the bottom line. The weather turned out to be in our favor, which is great, but great communications. LDA.
Well. There was something which they were telling about, but some chatter about Falcon 9 issue, about the line items and the weather. Yes, they were chatting about something. The weather, he said the weather looks favorable. Let me see whether we are just over exaggerating their normal conversation. Let me just see. Let me just confirm one second.
Expected loss of signal Goonhilly and O'Connor.
No as such talks here, so I think we are good then. They were just normally talking. I hope that is the case, because I can't see any as such conversation going on in the Twitter, because we know how Twitter works, right? If they would have detected anything, it would be full of those conversations. So yeah. Okay, so I think we are good then. Okay. Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I think it's fine. It's just normal talks there. So it will coast, and then we do have some time right now. It will coast, and then will start for the second engine start 2, which will happen at around 1 hour 3 minutes. So we have around 33 minutes left for that to happen. So I think I'm gonna head out right now, get something for me, and we'll get back at 1 hour 3 minutes. Okay, so yeah, enjoy the song and whatever animations are going on.
and expect the loss of signal to be a good ratio.
25th century AD. We sat there and looked at a rocket from Mars, and you just boggled the mind. And the technology caught up, didn't it?
Okay, so I am back here. Do you know you are talking over the professionals and we can see and hear them and you're noted for... Okay. I know, but I actually just say those things mostly those are which are not said by the professional. It's just that I say it first and then they also say it, so it clashes. But okay, so this graphic is very interesting to see. In this, just at the point of crossing there in between the two orbital planes, I suspect we will be having the burn, in which the burn will actually change the plane of the orbit as well as increase the apoapse also. So yeah, this is a long burn also, so that is the thing here.
Acquisition signal, Tasmania.
Okay, so I end up getting my munchies here. Basically some chips, and now I'll have my dinner also. So it's just sort of some snacks here, and then I'll have my dinner after the stream.
Welcome back to the webcast of the Falcon 9 mission carrying GPS III Space Vehicle number 5 for the U.S. Space Force. We've had a nominal mission so far. Falcon 9 lifted off on time at 12:09 p.m. Eastern from Cape Canaveral Space Launch Complex 40. 2.5 minutes later, we separated our first and second stages. Now, the second stage completed its first burn, placing the Falcon 9 and the GPS into the desired parking orbit. As you can see from the timeline at the bottom of the screen, we're approaching the second burn of the MVAC engine, and that will carry Falcon 9 and GPS to the orbit needed to deploy the satellite. Now, the burn's coming up in about 20 seconds.
Right now, the RCS thrusters were firing.
Currently, Falcon 9 second stage, we're chilling in the engine, getting ready for ignition. We're settling propellants.
Cool. The RCS thrusters were firing to act as a large, basically pulling all the fuel near the bottom of the tank, and now we should be having the SES-2.
MVAC ignition.
Here we go. Wow.
We've got ignition of the second stage engine. Niobium nozzle starting to glow red hot as normal. Now this burn is planned to last 44 seconds. And during that time, we're going to add 2 kilometers per second to our velocity. You can see the gauge on the bottom right of the screen showing stage 2 is quickly gaining speed. That 2 kilometers per second will equal out to 7,000 kilometers per hour being added to our velocity. Wow. This is going to change the orbit from a 400 kilometer apogee to one with a 20,000 kilometer apogee. Throttling down the engine. Preparing for shutdown.
MVAC shutdown.
Okay, we've got shutdown. We're waiting to hear from the guidance officer.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And there
and we've got a nominal orbit insertion. Now, as a reminder, the GPS satellite is still attached to Falcon 9's second stage. Payload deployment is timed to occur once the orbit takes us into range of one of the Space Force satellite ground stations, one in Hawaii, one in California. Once we reach this point, the Falcon 9 flight computer will command release of the GPS satellite. Now, currently we're getting data through Tasmania, so it's going to take us about 25 minutes until the orbit climbs into sight of the ground stations. Satellite separation will then occur at approximately T plus 1 hour and 29 minutes. Now, while we wait for this next milestone, I have a short video from the satellite manufacturer Lockheed Martin. It'll highlight some of the new capabilities of the spacecraft. Take a look, and we'll see you back here at T plus 1 hour and 28 minutes for satellite separation.
Expected loss of signal, Tasmania.
We sat there in 25th century AD. We sat there and looked at
Acquisition signal Hawaii. Acquisition signal Cook.
Welcome back to our launch coverage for the GPS III Space Vehicle 5 mission for the U.S. Space Force. If you're just joining us, we had an on-time launch at 12:09 p.m. Eastern, followed by a successful ascent, stage separation, first stage landing, and 2 second stage engine burns. We have just one more major milestone coming up to complete today's mission, which of course is the deployment of the GPS III satellite from Falcon 9's second stage, which will happen here in just under a minute at T plus 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 20 seconds. Currently, we are in view of the customer ground stations at Hawaii and California, which are necessary to reach prior to deployment. Now, in the 20 or so minutes since we've been coasting, we have increased quite a bit in altitude from our last burn, from about 420 kilometers now all the way up to over 4,000 kilometers. You can see those beautiful live views from our second stage. And let's listen in to hear that call out and watch for GPS III separation from our second stage here in just a few seconds.
Although that debris will just melt away. And now we should be
Payload separation confirmed.
You can see in that beautiful video and heard the confirmation that we did have a successful payload deployment there. And for those watching, you are witnessing a successful deployment of the GPS III Space Vehicle 5. And with that successful deployment, that now brings our webcast to a close.
Great views from the camera on the second stage of Falcon 9 as we watch GPS III, number 5, heading away from the vehicle. It's on its way to do its mission. I'd like to thank you. We'd like to thank the U.S. Space Force for entrusting us with today's GPS III Space Vehicle 5 mission. SpaceX is one of 2 certified providers for national security space launch missions, and we're proud to be able to offer reliable, cost-effective launch services to the U.S. Space Force. We look forward to supporting the next GPS mission that's targeted for liftoff next year. Also, we send thanks this afternoon to the Space Force's Space Launch Delta 45 for range support. SpaceX will be observing Juneteenth this weekend, a historic holiday that commemorates the emancipation of those who had been enslaved in the United States. And we would also like to wish all the dads out there a happy Father's Day. Thanks for tuning in and have a great weekend.
Exactly. So that was pretty epic, I must say that, right? Okay, so just a sec. Fine. So that was pretty epic for this mission, right? I mean, we were able to get the glimpses, the accurate, without a frame drop glimpses of first stage landing. That was such a show stealer for today's show, right? And yes, wildflower, that dusty debris are probably the ice which is coming out of it. Certainly some particles could be just the micrometeoroids, or maybe just you know, all those particles which just randomly go in the space out of the Earth's atmosphere also, and then they just be there in space. And so yeah. So I think now we should just be going to a close. The stream should be going to a close, and talking about the next launch. Okay, and this is interesting. The next launch was supposed to be the Virgin Orbit's launch of their Launcher 1, the air launch, but that is not happening. Instead, we have another top secret launch from the China Xichang Satellite Center. It will be launching the military remote sensing satellite. Hence, since it is a military satellite, we won't be having the live stream probably. But if we do have, I'll be the one to give you any updates. But I'm pretty sure there won't be any live stream. Other than that, there is one Transporter 2 mission coming up on 24th of June, and previously in previous transporter missions are nothing but the dedicated rideshare missions to sun synchronous orbit. It broke the world record by carrying 143 satellites into space in just one launch. And this is another launch which is happening now, the transporter 2 on June 24th. So we can very well expect some again the world record breaking of its own vehicle. So yeah, that is the case. And just a sec. Okay, so if you want to support my channel, guys, you can do that by becoming a member here. Here you can see we have different tiers. You will get access to the loyalty badges, the emoji, the KSP craft files, and whatever. You can select it from here and become a member. It really helps the channel to stay alive. Okay, so the next launch which actually I am very interested for is the Virgin Orbit's air launch. Obviously that is so that was supposed to happen on 21st and now it has been slipped to 28th. In between we are also having one sounding rocket launch again from the NASA Wallops flight facility on 24th June itself. So not too much launches, but decent enough launches to end our month. Yeah, so this is the thing. You can become a member, support the support this channel, and yeah. Until then, I think we can end the stream then, or if you want something you can ask me. Otherwise we already have talked about everything which we need to talk about this launch, obviously. And the Twitter updates are also not there as such, so we can skip those too. So if you want, you can ask me for something. Otherwise we should be going up here now and ending the stream. Most probably we will be meeting up again on June 24th with the Transporter 1 mission as well as that sounding rocket mission. Cool. So with that, until then, this is Priyanshu Rohila. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good weekend. Not weekend, it's Thursday, right? But still have a good day. Good day, good weekend. Bye-bye.